Save the Semantics, episode 177. It is May 21st, 2022. My name is Myro. This is the podcast where I ramble on for a bit about some shit. It is already the 21st of May, which is fucking nuts. I am good, I guess. I'm in a weird mood. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like weirdly energetic and kind of like pissed off for no real reason. I'm feeling hormonal, if that makes sense. I'm just like not. I'm just all over the fucking place. I'm just like sporadic with shit. I'm trying to get things done, but I'm just it's just a mess. I don't know, dude. I'm a little messy today. So I apologize if it's a little, if everything sounds a little scatterbrained right now. It's been a nice week, nice weather. Started to heat up a little bit, but it makes sense since we're in summer, basically. Today was a pretty nice day in terms of weather. I think I just woke up on the wrong side of the bed, man. I think I just slept like shit. Honestly, that's the main thing. It always comes down to that. Like why can't I just sometimes I just want to function like off of like 5-6 hours of sleep. Like I like the idea of staying up a little late to kind of do whatever the fuck, and then not having to have to suffer the consequences. You know what I mean? Like, why can't I just go through that? You know what I mean? Like, why do I have to feel just awful the next day? Like, why can't I just, like, why can't I just eat? Why can't I just wake up feeling refreshed and shit? You know what I mean? Like, why do I gotta, I don't know. It's frustrating. But it's always like the common denominator whenever I feel kind of off or shitty. It's just like, oh yeah, it's because I slept for less than the allotted time that I should have, right? Like, it's always 5 or 6 hours, and I wake up cranky the next morning. I'm like, I don't want to do anything. I got stuff to do, but I don't want to do shit. I just want to fucking, I don't know, I want to lay around and be irritated for half the day or the whole day, depending on how long it lasts. And I'm still kind of irritated today, so, like right now at least. But especially this morning, it's just so annoying. Like, why? I want to sleep like shit and not feel bad about it the next day. That would be my. There's always like the question of like, what would you want your superpower to be? Oh, I just want to sleep awful and feel great the next day. That would be awesome. Or function without sleep, because I do have a lot of like sleepless nights at times. Not a lot. It's like infrequent, but enough to where it's like, fuck, I just like, why can't I just want to get through this. Just put me to fucking sleep, you know what I mean? But it is what it is. I got some boba here. I think this is also, it's just like this fucking sugar rush. This shit is it's so much sugar. Definitely. It's how many ounces is this thing, man? Jesus fucking Christ. It's like it's a 32 ounce. I don't know how big this is. Maybe 30. I think it is like 32 of just pure sugar and just diabetes fuel. Like, this is just kind of, it's a bit, you know what I mean? But whatever. It is what it is. That's just kind of what I was in the mood for, so we're doing that. I need to shake this up a little bit. This is way too frozen up. Anyways, let's talk some basketball, and then I'll get into whatever other things that I want to talk about. It is the conference finals right now. Oh man, dude, I was so fucking wrong about the Suns and the Mavs. last week. I recorded pretty much right before that game, so and I was just anticipating. Like I just on a whim, I was like home court, number one seed in the West, best record in the league, best overall team in the league. Like I was like, there's just no. I mean, like it's pretty like. It should be just written. It just should be like it is what it is. It's expected. But man, that's like that was one of the biggest like chokes that I've like. I didn't watch the game, but just like I watched the highlights and everything. But that's like the biggest choke that I feel like I've kind of experienced, outside of my Warriors. But we're not going to talk about that. I mean, how does that even fucking happen, dude? Like, I'm still baffled by it. I've watched like the highlights and everything, and I've listened to like podcasts, and I've listened to just all these just like analytical shit, and I'm like, I still don't understand how this shit happened. Like, how do you just I get there's like a lack of effort, or I guess, but like, I mean, they just like, of course they were just outplayed in a sense, but like, you really didn't learn your lesson after last year, after you blew a 2-0 lead in the finals. Like, even after that, like, you didn't, like, there wasn't a part of you, I'm speaking sort of, like, to the Suns team as, like, a collective. Like, you didn't even, like, consider, hey, let's not do this again. Like, let's not make the same mistakes. And, of course, like, this series went to 7, but still, like, you can't, like, it's just embarrassing. It's just such a like one of the probably the most embarrassing loss in a long time, and like, you know, out of all like the franchises, like, it's just, you had everything just kind of like, you know, set up for you. I mean, not set up, like, they worked to get where they were, and then they just completely flounder. Like, it's incredible. Like, I'm still like kind of reading up on like what happened. Like, there's gotta be like some locker room shit. Like, I don't know. I know there were like reports of Ayton having some issues with Monty Williams and whatnot during the game and also after the game, but I feel it feels like there's more than that. Like, you just don't lose 30 in Game 7 of the playoffs as the number one seed. That's just unheard of. Like, I'm still like I'm still baffled. Like, I like a lot of other people, I wouldn't be surprised if more shit starts to come out of you know, the Suns organization about some internal bullshit. But man, like, I was, of course, as a Warriors fan, like, of course I was like, you know, cool, this might make things a little easier. We're up 2-0 against the Mavs. I'll get into that in a little bit, but it's just sort of baffling. Like, damn, like, they really fucking like, what do you do after that? Like, do you keep that core next year and try to run it back after 2 years of blowing leads? Like, that's just, I don't know if you can do that. Kind of similar situation to like the Utah Jazz. I think that ship has finally sailed. I think that franchise, you know, that current roster, you know, there obviously needs to be a shakeup and everything. But with this Suns team, it's just like, damn, dude. Chris Paul's gonna be 30. You know, he turned 37, and then his fucking, you know, his stats and his play style just went off of a cliff. I don't know what happened. And then, you know, Booker just didn't live up to his standards, the expectations. You know, he was in the, you know, he wasn't in the top 3, but he was still in the top 5 of like MVP voting, which I feel like was reasonable, being like the number 1 seed and being like the best player on that team. But still, man, like, that shit is fucking, it's ridiculous. It's crazy. I don't know. It's like it's a mystery to me. You know what I mean? And I really don't know because the roster was fully healthy. They had all of their key players playing, and then like it's just a lot of respect to Dallas and everything. Like they, of course, they played them very well. They matched up with them very well, but still, like what the fuck are y'all doing? It's just like as a Warriors fan and everything, I'm happy, right? I'm happy that, again, it might make. I don't want to underestimate the Mavericks, of course, because they have Luka and everything, and they have a good defense and whatnot. And we did have an incredible comeback in Game 2, which I didn't really watch the game, but I'll catch up on the highlights. But still, like, I think, I want to give them that respect. It's just the fact that I don't fucking know, like, how that shit happened. It's just kind of crazy, you know what I mean? So that's going to be lingering for sure. I'm still going to be thinking about that. And I'm going to just kind of keep my eyes peeled for any news that comes out of, in regards to, like, the Suns and everything. Like, that shit's fucking nuts, dude. That shit's fucking crazy. How does that happen? Anyways, conference finals right now. Like I said, Warriors up 2-0. The Heat and the Celtics are tied up. So I think ideally we would want the Heat. I think we match up better with them. We played them better in the regular season. I know that's not like a telltale sign or a clear indication of whatever, but still, like we played it better against the Heat than we did against the Celtics. So I'm putting my money on the Heat. Not necessarily winning. I want them to win, so we have a chance at winning the title, better chance of winning the title. So yeah, that's that. I've been kind of driving around a lot. I think I talked about that last time as well. Just doing shit, being out and about. And I don't know. It's driving is work in itself. You know what I mean? I really can't complain all that much though, because it's not really all that bad in terms of driving and everything. But it is crazy how much people used to, and I guess still do, commute on a daily basis, whether it's like an hour or an hour and a half drive, from your home, your place of stay to work. It's a journey. So I don't know if that's something that I necessarily want to be doing, like a once in a while thing, once in a while outing for work related purposes is fine, but on a daily, weekly basis even is a bit much, considering these gas prices too. I mean, shit's expensive, man. Shit's really expensive right now. So I'm trying to minimize my cost, and I've been spending money here and there on some stuff too. So I don't want to spend any more on other stuff that I don't really feel like is totally necessary. Because I got some like trips planned and whatnot. I think I mentioned that last time as well. But yeah, things are pretty good for the most part. I've been listening to. I was like halfway through maybe my listen of Kendrick's new album. I think I talked about it briefly last time. Didn't I talk about it? Oh my god, dude, I'm losing my fucking memory. I still have, I think it does. Again, I have to listen to it more, man. I wish I listened to it like at least a couple more times before recording this, but I do think that there are some new things that I've sort of picked up on my second listen of the album, and things that I've appreciated a little more. But my initial feelings do stand in terms of like replayability, because like after I do listen for however many more times just to kind of get the full picture, I don't see myself really returning to this album or specific songs on there. It's not really that type of album, which is fine, which is totally fine. But it really does, like, it requires like my full attention, as opposed to kind of, just like having it on the background like I do during work or whatever, even though I still kind of do that with other albums and stuff, and still can kind of get a good experience out of it. But yeah, it's good. It's good. It's really good. It's just it's a different chunky. It's a different listening experience as opposed to kind of what I usually do. It just sort of either shuffle a bunch of shit or I guess listen an album all the way through. So, I mean, that's kind of what I'm doing with this album. So I don't know what I'm talking about, but you know what I mean. It's not something that I just like want to half-heartedly listen to. I want to give it my full attention. So, if I feel like there's anything new that comes out on consecutive listens, then I'll talk about it. I'll talk about it here and discuss it. But for now, I feel like a lot of the same ideas are kind of like resonating through my second listen of the album. There's a new Lupe album that's coming out in June, so that's really exciting. It's been a while since he released a project, I think. Let me check. I think it was Drogas Waves. That was the last album, which I loved, and I actually was listening to it earlier this last week, just kind of going over it. I think it's a really that album too is very, like, very in depth and whatnot. It's a little, I feel like it's a little more. There are songs on there that I feel like I return to a lot more, that I would return to a lot more than, say, like, the new Kendrick album. But so it's been 4 years since that. His new album is going to be called, is it kind of, no, this is a single, Autobato. It might be called something else, but that was a single that he released for the new album, and I really like the cover. I think it's probably the same art style as Tetsuo and Youth, which is another great album. Lupe, I feel like he already has the discography to be considered one of the best, rappers or whatever. I really don't give a shit too much about categorizing rappers like that. Maybe I did back in, I don't know, high school. It was like, yeah, these rappers, Kendrick number one or whatever. But he just has such a diverse and interesting discography, starting obviously with Food and Liquor, and then all the way up to, Drogas Waves, and just the concepts and the ideas that he presents on his albums are very interesting. Tetsuo and Youth being, much more religious in themes, like, connecting some of his own struggles and ideas of life and everything, connecting it back to, like, the story of, like, Jesus and whatnot. And then with the Drogas Waves, where he's, talking about slavery and, the black experience, and then talking about, like, starting off in, like, a historical context on, like, the first half of the album, and then, like, transitioning in the second half where it's much more grounded and much more personal, where he's talking about his relationship that he has with his family and like other like people that he's worked with, and then the music industry and whatnot. And there's like a lot of there's a lot of albums where I still haven't fully understood a lot of the ideas and like lyrics that are presented, including like To Pimp a Butterfly, to be honest. Like, I haven't listened to the album in a long time, since high school. Um, and obviously there are, you know, there's pieces there, and there are things there that I, very much are like, okay, I understand what he's saying and whatnot, what Kendrick is saying and whatnot, but like, there's still a lot more to uncover, I think, and that goes for a lot of albums that I've listened to. I think I take in a lot of the surface level ideas and concepts, and I enjoy the music itself before I really delve into the subtext and whatnot. So I very much take in what's kind of on the forefront, without too much of the detail, if that makes sense. I do analyze lyrics once in a while, but I also like place a lot of importance on like the music, like the musicality in that sense, like the instrumentation and like the delivery and whatnot. So like sometimes it is like, and I can kind of relate it back to Kendrick's new album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, where like I don't necessarily, I'm not like the biggest fan of like the music really all that much in comparison to his older albums. And I know it's hard. I really don't, I try not to do that. Like I try not to compare albums, like artists' albums like that, because like they're trying to do a different thing, but it's hard not to. But I'm just not, I just haven't been drawn into this album because of the music like that. But I would like to, and that goes with like, that goes with like Lupe's album and whatnot as well. Jorgos Waves. So I don't think there's anything wrong with just kind of appreciating the music and like appreciating the concepts that they're trying to present, and whether you fully understand it or not. But I think that I would like to try to make an effort to really engage with the piece and try to delve in deeper, and maybe like do some research or whatever on what they're like possibly referencing in the album and whatnot. So yeah, I don't know, every listening, every person has a different way of interacting with the music and whatnot. I just like to try to, especially with artists that I love, I do want to approach these pieces with kind of the respect that they deserve, you know what I mean? Like, so I like, maybe, talk, going into more in depth with the music and whatnot, with the lyrics, I should say. But yeah, I'm excited to hear what Lupe has coming out next. I think, I don't know, I'm not really, of course I have expectations, it's hard not to, but I think I'm just gonna be happy with that album. I'm just, like, of course he's had things he's put out where I've been disappointed with or whatnot, but every project since maybe like Food and Liquor 2, I've been very happy with. It's just it's just a lot of great things to appreciate on those albums. What else? Not too much else. Just kind of enjoying my time and whatnot. Chilling and vibing and all that shit. Watching games and sipping on this boba and trying to get shit done without losing my head or my temper or whatever. Getting better sleep. Going to bed on time, because I have stuff to do in the morning sometimes, even on the weekends. Even though I don't really want to, but yeah, that's what's going on right now. So again, pretty all over the place episode, and that sometimes happens. And that's going to do it for this one. This has been Save the Semantics. Signing off.